Hi guys, Justin here again, day 5 of my post a video every day for 30-day challenge, and today I'm going to talk about squat position. Okay, so we get lots of questions about it. Should I actively press my knees out? How far apart should my feet be? All that kind of stuff, and the answer to all of them varies by the individual, but there's a couple universals. Okay, so one is width. It's going to vary. You basically want to find a comfortable position that's not too narrow, not too wide. Under your shoulders tends to be a good rule of thumb. I also like what I call the 3-step approach. So you start feet, hip joint distance apart, and then you walk kind of a heel toe walk. 1, 2, 3. That also tends to put you right about under the shoulders. Depending on how big you make those steps, it can be a little bit wide. And then the next thing is turnout. How far should I have my toes turned out? Should I try to keep them perfectly straight? Some people will say 30 degrees, some people say 12. I say it depends on the type of squat that you're doing. Okay, so the ideal squat, we want as close to parallel as your particular hip mobility will allow, which for a lot of people means turned out a little bit, somewhere in that 5 to maybe 15 degree range. But the biggest thing that you want to maintain is being able to keep some torque on the ground. So we can feel that by starting with parallel feet and twist your feet like you're trying to spread your toes, but also press them into the ground, like you're trying to screw them into the ground. And you can feel that build some tension. You feel a little bit on the inside of your knees, feel it build some tension in your hip joints. That preloading of your squat is going to keep everything tight as you come down, and then that same tension is what's going to drive you back out. It's kind of like the pre-tensioning that we did with our push-ups on day 3. Same thing applies to your squat. So if you notice, if we turn out excessively like this, I'm about at a 90-degree angle, about 45 degrees on each foot, and I try to twist, there's nowhere left for me to go, so I can't keep any tension in my legs. Okay, so even at about 30 degrees, there's not much I can really turn on, right? So I'm not able to create as much tension, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I would never let someone start loading a heavy barbell and put it on their back if they need to go this wide to get down into their squat. But if we're just using squatting as a way to open up that range of motion for people, and they have to be pretty excessively toed out to be able to get there, and I see their arches collapse and their knees cave in just a little bit, but this allows them to get to full depth, I'm okay with it as a stretch and as a way to actually get acquainted with the bottom of that squat. Now as we progress, I'm going to try to get them to work those feet in so they can actually turn on some of that tension and achieve that same deep bottom position with feet a little more parallel. Okay? So the rule of thumb is, if you're just trying to stretch and get down there, sit in your squat, stretch it out, that kind of stuff, even low rep air squats like in a warm up or that kind of thing, it doesn't matter as much. Do what you need to get down there and keep that weight back on your heels and your chest up. If we're loading it up, you want to use a variation where you can keep a little bit of torque in your legs. Okay? So use that as a good rule of thumb when deciding setting up for your squat. And if you're not able to use the squat position where you can keep that torque on, I say don't go heavy. It's not worth going heavy until you can maintain well enough to support that weight. So if you're still squatting like this, fine, keep doing it, keep working on your mobility, and start working those feet in narrower and narrower. We'll talk in the coming videos about how to start opening up that squat mobility and working the feet in. All right, see you next day. Bye.